This is Stroke Camp. Retreat and Refresh Stroke Camp. It was started by an ardent, energetic, lifelong camper whose husband had a stroke 3 years prior.
The idea of Stroke Camp was kind of born out of life's experiences and then the personal experiences. John suffered a massive stroke in 2001. A few years after John's stroke, when he was well on his way to recovery, we had the idea of doing a camp for our local friends that have had strokes.
She envisioned a camping retreat that included socialization, emotional support, relaxation, education, great food, and fun. And like any great idea, with the right energy and fueling, it happened. The first stroke camp was held in 2004, and with each passing year, more camps in more locations have been added. The reality is that for many survivors, there's little outside support following a stroke, once initial emergency medical care and rehabilitation is complete.
There's only so much time that they have in the hospital for us to teach. There's only so much time in the hospital for us to rehabilitate, and this is all of that in a great, fun, wonderful weekend. And when I went to our administration and talked to them about sponsoring a camp, I think my passion for camp helped them to understand what a great thing we do here, how it closes the loop from acute care to re-entry into the community.
So when we decided to be a part of Stroke Camp and our hospital decided to become a part of Stroke Camp, it was all about somehow or another creating a connection in which we could get sponsors from within our community to be able to connect with our patients, not only the patients that are in the hospital or patients that were in the hospital, but to be able to provide a continuum of care.
Long-term stroke survivors often lead lives of isolation, with few resources and activities designed specifically for them and their caregivers.
And one gentleman who said he had grew up in a small town for the last 60 years, always had gone to the coffee shop in the town, and his friends that he had known from birth no longer will talk to him because he has aphasia, and it takes a while for him to get the words out. These people, one patient said they've been alone for 23 years and have not had any support with their aphasia, and now they're coming to the group and they're here today at this camp.
This amazing weekend provides long-term survivors a retreat that's like nothing else. The 3 days and 2 nights of camp are an extraordinary time together for survivors and caregivers and for volunteers. Volunteers provide survivors safety and companionship, while caregivers take a much-needed break to relax, enjoy a massage, read a book, or do absolutely nothing.
And I just plain relaxed. I felt this freedom, no responsibilities.
They take such good care of you.
Yeah.
Often, volunteers are staff members at the sponsoring medical institutions who come to camp to learn more about the needs of long-term stroke survivors. They come for education. They leave with that and a great deal more. A number of medical institutions have sponsored Stroke Camp. Camp is an extremely cost-effective way to support the ongoing needs of stroke survivors in the community. It's a rewarding volunteer opportunity for local medical personnel and organizations. It's an exceptional avenue for institutions and corporations, particularly hospitals and foundations, to support their communities in a profound way.
One of the reasons why we really decided to put the energy towards and financial support towards a stroke camp in our area was because I think our staff, our patients, in our community clearly would receive a beneficial experience by attending such a camp. And we've looked at this as part of our network, giving back to our community.
Stroke survivors finish the weekend empowered to do more, take on more challenges, and stretch themselves beyond what they thought they could ever accomplish. And this can only benefit the community as a whole.
I can do it now. I can do it now. Yeah. Thank you all for being my friends.
And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was at home.
It was the first time since my stroke that I felt normal. The camp makes you feel normal.
The momentum is building. Each year since 2004, more stroke camps have been offered.
We had no idea of how quickly the concept would grow and spread. We have had stroke patients calling for information. We have actually had patients inquiring about it while they're still in the hospital because they've heard about it.
We bring the entire show to town, but the sponsoring facility is responsible for the fee to make that happen, but also for the volunteers for the weekend. We bring a staff of about 6 from Retreat and Refresh Stroke Camp to be the administrators of the weekend. But the majority of the work is done by the volunteers from the community or the sponsoring facility.
The target goal is to establish 25 annual camps in 25 communities across the country. And each camp welcomes up to 25 stroke survivors and their caregivers and family.
For the cost of a few MRIs, you know, this is something that is life-altering for these survivors and their caregivers. You know, it's just as much for the caregivers as it is for the survivors. They need to be able to communicate with each other, to give each other support, and to just take a break.
This is a way for you to give back to your community, and you'll get much more out of this than the money that you put into it.
The money has to come from institutions and organizations and individuals who are not in this position, where they're not disabled, but they're in a position where they're able to give back.
Hospitals save lives, you know, and that's their initial role, but I think we also have an obligation because we've increased our technology and our abilities to save those lives, to give them a life back. Give them a life back.